This is Action Jack McClendon and Burgermeister behind the camera. We're in downtown Las Vegas. We're at the Smithsonian Institution Museum. It's called the Mob Museum. It's extraordinary. We've been here before and we're coming back again so you get to see it. All right, so it's at Mob Museum right there. This is by the Fremont Experience in downtown Las Vegas.
2 blocks away.
Yeah, so it's really nice. This is a historical place. This was an actual courthouse and where they had the Kefauver trials for the mob. So this is an excellent museum. In fact, I would put it as one of our favorite all-time museums in the United States. So my first favorite, Boogie, for me would be the Bible Museum.
Absolutely, in Washington, D.C., part of the Smithsonian also.
Right by the mall. And then this would be my second favorite Smithsonian, although that's a pretty close call with the aerospace and all that. But this is just entertaining. There's the Fremont Experience.
Yeah, that's why we have this here so you guys see the outside. Now you're on the inside, the foyer where you get your tickets. The old mailboxes and everything's still here.
Yes, and they have where you can get a
different tours and different prices and all that, but we just did a basic.
You can become a member and see the whole thing and come here year round. There's a lot to see here, so I'm telling you.
Look, we're already under suspicion right when we walk in. You like that?
Yeah, I helped to work on the museum, and there we are.
You helped, all right. That's why you're in here in the lineup.
Well, I learned
you're guilty as charged.
I learned what makes a great museum. So we got to do that lineup. We're behind the glass.
Too late. They already packed us up.
Yes, and it tells about how lineups work. So it was really fascinating.
They look like a nice group.
There's Bridget and I. So we are. There's that mirror. So
guilty as charged.
We can't see who's checking us out.
Yeah, it was a big mirror on our side, just like they always do.
This is where the mob was connected all over the United States. I was disappointed there wasn't much activity in San Diego.
No.
What are you going to do?
Nice clean town, like the mob books there, some of their paraphernalia.
The Mob Connection Las Vegas is great. There's been many movies made about it.
Yeah, it was started as bootleggers way back in the 1800s, so they were already gearing up for it.
You know what I thought was so fascinating? This is the second time here. They're constantly changing this and moving it up.
This is where Vegas began. It was just a spring.
Yes, and
that's why I kept that picture, because that's settled by, I think, mostly Mormon ranchers and also farmers. Had a brain lapse there for a minute. This area was mapped out by, believe it or not, and they had murders back then too. They killed off the ranch hands, and that's one of the widows. And they had
John C. Fremont.
John C. Fremont, yeah, thank you for that brain lapse.
And
he's the one who actually mapped out Vegas back in the 1850s and such, before he came to California. That guy got around.
Yes, it was Fremont, California.
Yes, and this is down at the Fremont section of Las Vegas.
So Las Vegas means little hills, and they have a lot of water there that people don't know about.
Yeah, because of those springs. I like those wine barrels right there.
I think those are whiskey barrels.
Oh, whiskey barrels, right, of course. Oh, look at the Tommy gun. That's a real Tommy gun.
Yes, a machine gun from the old days. 1920.
Oh, wait, don't forget the hatchet.
That's what I'm talking about. Oh. That's Carrie Nation. So she was the one that wanted to outlaw all alcohol, and that really was a boon to the mob. So this is February 14th.
Great way to stop crime.
Yeah, and actually fan climb. There's so much going on here, but this was the biggest mob was the Moran mob, the Irish mob.
Those are bullets, by the way, that they dug out of the bodies of the Valentine Massacre victims. And at the end of our video, we've got a couple-minute excerpt that talks about it.
Yes.
So it's very interesting.
In fact, it's our very first epilogue.
Oh, yeah, that's a big word,
if you're interested to know about the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, it's at the very end. This shows how the feds were cracking down on crime. Public enemy number one was Al Capone. Again, Birgit and I, just last summer, we were everywhere in Chicago that had to do with Capone, and we went to his homes and we went to his graves.
Yes, and remember the whole family's buried there? Because we went with my nephew and his little boy.
Quite a few.
And they had a great time there, too, thinking that these gangsters are still buried there.
Quite a few Capones. And by the way, he changed his name to be pronounced as Capone because he wanted it to sound American. And actually, he loved America. Tell us about this, Berg.
Yeah, because he wanted to help find the Lindbergh baby. And the FBI said, thanks, but no thanks. We can take care of this. Unfortunately, they found the baby too late. But here's some correspondence from the FBI and from Charles Lindbergh regarding the offer of helping, and of course, Lindbergh's thank you to the FBI for what they tried to do with his baby. So what a tragedy that was. So since they couldn't get him on bootlegging, they got him on tax evasion. So here's the tax guys going after the mob. This was just so fascinating.
They couldn't get him on anything.
No. So they put these guys away because they took the money. They get mean when you mess with their green.
Yes, because they had this line, the snitches wind up in ditches. And
yeah, you start to squeal, like we saw that earlier picture of the canary. That guy wanted to be a witness for the prosecution, and they said, "Oh no, you won't."
This is shocking right here. This is absolutely shocking. So this is what I'm talking about that makes this a great museum. There's so much interactive stuff that's going on
I
here.
thought you said this was a shocking experience.
It was a shocking experience. Absolutely shocking. Here I'm going to sit in the chairs here.
All right, let him up. He's dead.
Okay, I thought this was interesting. This is the race wire. So the movie The Sting with Paul Newman and Robert Redford, this is a big part of the movie. I didn't know it was based on the real deal, but right here you can pick up the phone and you hear how they were calling the race wire before during the race. So they would have these betting rooms underground. People would go and bet on the horses.
That's a switchboard, by the way.
Yeah, they had
Look at that thing, and you have to operate that switchboard. Go figure.
So if you saw the movie The Sting, which if you haven't seen, it's a very
Great
good movie.
movie.
And it's got a lot of humor in there with a happy ending, and it shows how crooks get caught and beat up and all that. So
Yeah, right.
justice. Right now, this has to do with how the mob would fix sports. From fights to baseball to football, they could fix this. So it's
And fix it they did.
yes.
I know, what a scandal with the White Sox
There's Jake
scandal.
LaMotta right there.
With all the boxing. I think Muhammad Ali was the first guy who said, ain't no way I'm doing this.
Yes.
And he had, for whatever, he had the clout to resist, which was great. And there's betting on the baseball. There's all kinds of stuff here. That's a ticket from the 1919 White Sox game that they did the cheating in.
This is about how Hollywood was how often Hollywood played a big part with the mob.
A major part.
So The Godfather is based on facts. It's so interesting, the facts about it. So all these great movies, the Jimmy Cagney movies, all the Warner Brothers movies, Edward G. Robinson, Hollywood played a big, big part in this.
I like the tomato cans. I don't know why they have tomato cans.
Oh, that's what they would put money in there and
Oh.
different stuff. So they would store different contraband in there.
Ah, interesting.
Now here, this shows how The Godfather 2 was just exactly historical. That says Cal Neva right there. That's in The Godfather 2. That's the casino in Lake Tahoe, which is in California and Nevada, and that's what Frank Sinatra owned along with the mob. So when you see Godfather 1, Godfather 2, and Godfather 3, they all have historical accuracy. I'm just amazed going through the Mob Museum how all these movies have such historical accuracy. It's just really amazing. There's Frank Sinatra with two mobsters for Cal Neva, meaning California and Nevada, right there in Lake Tahoe. 3/4 of Lake Tahoe is California, 1/4 is in Nevada, and that's the part where they have the gambling. It's one of the most beautiful areas in the world, Lake Tahoe. Now we're going to one of the great American artists. His name was Leroy Neiman, and he had a unique style, a modern style. He lived to be almost 92 years old. There he is with the mayor of
Vegas.
Las Vegas, Oscar. And these paintings are very valuable.
They're all of the mobsters. Look at them, all of them.
He did a ton of famous paintings, but this particular ones are just the mob. So there he is with Muhammad Ali. He would get to know the people. Oh, this is Machine Gun Jack McGurn, and I did that because I'm Jack McClendon, so that's Jack McGurn, and he's Machine Gun. And I noticed a lot of Irish guys named Jack in this museum and all that.
That should make you proud, my little monster.
Does the opposite of that, but I think it's interesting. Now, this is 4 floors, isn't it, Briggy, in this museum?
It's 3 floors and a basement. If you like the wallpaper, it's all mobster guys' faces.
So you,
And then it tells you what's on each floor.
you start at the top and you work your way down. This is the actual courtroom where they had
The trials,
at the Kefauver.
the hearings, whatever they were called. Yeah, look at this place.
And so we watch a movie when you're here, but just in the actual place where they had the mob courtrooms, and it was just really fascinating. Then they go through the Senate hearings on this, which is again
By the
very
way, they had
accurate
them
to the movies.
Yeah, didn't they have them all over the country? But this one, of course, because it was Vegas, it had the big names in their court trials and everything. Because you had the mob in Vegas, and that was rather the glory part of it.
Well, this is where they were exposing the mob, and this is where the mob really got conquered by the FBI and the federal government. But it was actually right here. This is nice. They have a movie just every 10 minutes. They'll have a 5-minute movie. So this museum moves so quickly. It's so fast, and you learn so much. Now we're going to see how the nightclubs played a big part with the mob. And Bergie, since I was a young lad, and I mean 4 years old, my parents took me to Las Vegas, and I saw the Rat Pack, saw them all at the Sands Hotel. And I remember it very, very well.
Yeah,
Right.
these little round things are all different stars. That's Eleanor Roosevelt there.
Right, Lena Horne.
Lena
there.
Horne. Oh heavens, I'm drawing a blank.
That's Wayne Newton.
Wayne Newton. That's right. There's the
that
Rat Pack.
exact spot right there we can walk. We had our picture taken there before.
Yeah.
That's still there. That's Bugsy Siegel,
Bugsy Siegel.
who started the Flamingo, and that's really where Las Vegas started.
He's the first guy, and then of course they took care of him. The mob did a number on him.
Yeah, there's a good movie about that called Bugsy with Warren Beatty.
That's right.
And
I
it's-
forgot about that.
It's so incredible, again, how these movies, the ones that I've seen and Brigham seen, how they match perfectly with history. Oh, there's the atomic bombs that went off there in
In the desert.
right in the late in the
Isn't
mid.
that funny? They do
early
those
40s.
and they have no protection on them or anything.
The
All the
Beatles were there.
radiation. Yeah, Beatles.
Yep, there's Marilyn
Marilyn.
Monroe. She played a big part in Las Vegas history.
She did? Huh? The Kennedys.
Yep, there's
Yeah, I took all these with the in-law there. And they have so many things. And, of course, these are the old slot machines. Look at these things. They don't have those anymore. These are now museum pieces. So it's all in here.
There's
so
Howard
it's
Hughes.
historical.
Howard Hughes played a big part. You know, we've been to Howard Hughes's homes in Las Vegas, and he had a home there, and I believe in the Flamingo.
Yeah, it
as
says
well.
it there. It'll tell you if I can't rent it, I'll just buy it.
Right.
Something like that. It's going to show up here. That's his watch, and then one of his notebooks there. And then it was just funny. If I can't, there it is.
Yep. So when you go to Las Vegas, Berg and I have been going here.
Oh,
for,
I know. It was in
for
the desert.
decades.
The inn. What's the desert inn? Is where he lived in.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
which has been torn down since.
But he
Since
has
then.
2 homes that you can visit.
Yeah.
And the one is actually in Las Vegas, which is part of a television station now. They bought it. So you can go in there. You have to check with the television station, do your search engine on that. You can find out where that
there,
is.
I'll buy the place. Desert Inn.
Yeah, the movie about Howard Hughes is also very accurate. There's a Nevada gas chamber. They have that too. Again, the interactive part of this museum is incredible.
What a guess.
Total gas. And
Yes.
again, what makes this interesting is just seeing the things up close. So the very
That's a
first,
very creepy looking chair, by the way.
the first gas chamber death was in 24?
Yeah, something like that. And then last one in 1979, I think
Jesse
we read.
Bishop.
But
And
now they just inject you, if
Well,
they even
stopped
do that
No,
anymore.
they stopped that in 2006.
Yeah, so, well, there's a few places they still do executions.
Mob on the run. Mob on the run. And Berkey likes this, you see. And that talks about the mob on the run.
Yep, there's their options. Some of them actually make it to retirement
Michael
age.
Francis, but he's
Oh, yeah,
about
he's
the
around.
only one that
Wait,
has.
Sammy what was
Bull.
that?
Yeah,
Bull, he's
Sammy the Bull
around.
Gravano,
Look at
yeah.
this list of 100 years of made men in the mob. I couldn't believe they got this many guys that because they didn't have a happy ending, most of them. So,
They
as
got
you,
killed. Oh, there
there's
is
that man,
Robert
Robert Kennedy
right?
Sr.
Yes.
He went after that mob.
Yes, and
Yes,
that
and the
is,
gangsters
and that is what.
probably got him murdered.
Yes. So it's
He was
interesting.
he was very courageous to go after these guys. Very courageous.
Now this is how they caught the mob and really stopped the mob, and the different ways they would infiltrate. And that's also how the FBI has assets who invade different terrorist organizations, and how they record them, and the different ways they did it in the past, and how they do it now. And many of the ways that they do it now is kind of a secret. So there it is about infiltrating the mob. Now we're going to go into a part that has to do with modern TV shows and movies. And there's
like this Pulp Fiction.
those are actual costumes from the movie of Pulp Fiction. It also makes the correlation to actual history. That just wasn't made up. It has historical basis. This is from Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and this has to do with making drugs here, methamphetamines.
Yeah, look at that outfit, and that's from the series that they wore
So
each time. And look at here's your favorite, Jack, the script from
The Godfather. This is the actual script with the notations here. They have from Godfather 1, Godfather 2, Godfather 3. And then you can buy copies of the books and of the scripts with the notations.
which we did.
Yes.
Which we did.
It is absolutely fascinating.
Yes, that's an amazing thing. So, yeah, they have all kinds of stuff you can get. That's all relating, of course, to the mob. And check this guy out. This is from
Boardwalk Empire.
Boardwalk Empire. That was Steve Buscemi.
Yeah. So
That was his suit.
yeah, and here's all the movie props from the ton of movies. I didn't know.
Oh, that was Boardwalk Empire. Then the Tommy gun from the Untouchables. What was that one with Kevin Costner and
The Untouchables.
Sean Connery? And there's
A scene from Sean
that's
Connery.
our guys. Yeah, I love
The
those.
Untouchables.
Yeah.
This is
There's your favorite, Sopranos, Tony Soprano.
yes, more props.
More
from
props.
TV shows.
There's his
And-
outfit that you always saw him in. Look at that. It was ugly when it was on the show, and in real life, I don't think it's a nice looking shirt either.
So this
But
is
that's the character.
this is an incredible museum. So and then the mob was involved in everything, movies, and in the music industry. They really ripped off their artists, and
Oh,
this
they did in the music, especially.
and
they even
ma-
tried to kill a few of these people.
many were killed and suicided and all this. Tommy James is a very famous Christian singer. He was able to tell about how the mob ripped him off for millions and millions, $30 million.
Who was the guy they beat up and he almost died?
Jimmy Rogers. But that's another story altogether. Now there is a speakeasy here
In the basement.
and it opens at 11 a.m. and they serve alcoholic beverages and
Well, of
food
course they do.
items,
It's a
too.
speakeasy.
Right, but it's a real thing in there, and it looks exactly like they had them in the Prohibition days in there, and
They have a lot of historical stuff in here.
so
Of
much.
all the things that went on at these speakeasies. So you'd have to come downstairs and plan a little time to read all this and look at this and enjoy it. It was really nice.
Yeah, so there's a lot to say here. So, on behalf of my lovely bride, Burgermeister, this is Action Jack saying we'll be back, and it will be soon, and that's the name of that tune. One more thing, if you like the video, please hit like and also comment. That really helps us out a lot, and share. That helps us out too. Here's an epilogue. This is something that Brigitte and I found interesting, but not sure if you'll like it. It has to do with the rest of the story of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
And the wall.
So these are the actual bricks of the wall.
Wow. And those are the bullet holes, all those white
Yeah,
dots?
those are some of them. Yeah, you can see some, correct.
Wow.
Now this roughly represents floor level, so we have that raised up so you can see it a little bit.
St. Valentine's Day
It's gonna light up in here in a
became so
moment.
infamous around the country that even the warehouse where it happened became a tourist attraction.
It's not blood, it's paint. Previous owner of the wall did that. We would have never done that.
That was this tourist attraction.
The St. Valentine's Day Massacre was the event that first brought to the Midwest some ballistics to the scientific investigation of crime.
So the garage where this happened stood until 1967. At that point, Chicago wanted to kind of rid itself and do some renovation to that part of the city. So they announced plans to demolish this garage. But before they did, they took the section of the wall pertinent to the massacre and disassembled it brick by brick, put a numbering
A
system on
coroner's
it.
report documented that 70 machine gun bullets and 2 shotgun blasts were fired during the massacre.
Now, they were interested, as you can well imagine, a bidding war ends up. Guy from Canada, his name was George Patey. He ends up with the
No one
wall.
was ever tried or convicted for the 7 murders that occurred up against this wall. Al Capone was considered guilty in the court of public opinion. However, alternative theories exist.
He shipped 414 bricks then up to Canada, and actually it took him about 3 weeks to get it across the border, as he was having issues with it, as they wanted to charge a 37% duty on each brick because it was American building material, construction material. He eventually get those across, he reconstructs them as a traveling display with it, but ultimately
The
they
warehouse
spent...
where the massacre occurred stood until 1967. Before the building was demolished, the bricks that made up the massacre wall were numbered and carefully disassembled by Canadian businessman George Patey.
I already told him.
Yeah.
Anyway, where was I?
George
with that?
Patey
So-
shipped the bricks to Canada and painstakingly reassembled all 414 of them. He displayed the wall at crime shows, museums, galleries, and finally in the washroom of a nightclub.
Oh.
The Mob Museum acquired the bricks from George Patey's family and using the original numbering system, reconstructed the wall with the bricks in their original locations.
So they stayed in his bar until he ends up retiring. He gets rid of his bar, he keeps the bricks, and he realizes they have commercial value. So he starts selling off various bricks to private collectors. It was in 2004, he's vacationing in Hawaii, and he passes away. Now he was 77 years old. 2005, it was announced that he was going to become a museum for organized crime and law enforcement, and that's when the project began, 2005. Ultimately, we opened up Valentine's Day of 2012. So it took a while to get this all up and ready. About halfway in between that process and about 2009, one of our museum curators gets a phone call. On the other end is a female. She identifies herself as the niece of Patey. She says, I live here in Henderson, Nevada. And if you're not aware, that's Las Vegas.
Yeah, I
She
love
goes, in
it.
my garage is a pile of my uncle's bricks that made up the St. Valentine's Day Massacre wall. Would you be interested in those for your museum? Well, first off, can you
Next
imagine
reading
getting
of
a
the
call
film will
like
be
that?
in 30 seconds.
These were authenticated. George Patey kept meticulous records of every single brick he sold. So we made a deal. We purchased the remaining 312 out of the original 414 bricks, along with George Patey's purchase records. We have reacquired about 7 to date from various collectors. We have some more of them promised to us upon someone's ultimate passing. What we use here for mortar is actually a foam material, so it is easy if we reacquire a brick to remove the filler and put it in its appropriate space. It's been about 3 years, I believe, since we did that for last.
Fantastic.
Two or three guys that were in plain clothes that had the Tommy guns. All right, after the massacre, it made a lot of noise. The general public quickly gathered on the streets, but these guys were prepared for that. So there's 2 guys dressed as police officers. They acted as though they were arresting the perpetrators. They marched them into the back of their stolen police car. All right. Now these guys are from out of town to begin with. They have a clean getaway. They're gone. They're probably laughing as soon as they rounded the corner. Now the people that witnessed this, they go, "Wow, Chicago PD was right on this. In fact, they've already made an arrest. There's nothing more to see." They actually started to disband and go back to normal life. Okay, well, John May, he's a victim here. He was like the mechanic that worked in this garage.
Oh.
Now, he was a mechanic for the Bugs Moran gang.
Oh, okay.
This is where they stored their liquor. But every day when he came to work, he brought with him his German Shepherd, Highball. Now, Highball was there that day. Now, Highball normally, I think, had free run of this garage because he's, in charge of security. But because all of the gang was supposed to be there that day, they had a lot of intense business to do. I've was tied up. He normally
Probably
wasn't
saved
tied
his
up.
life.
So he witnessed everything that went down, couldn't do anything to defend his turf. Now you have the perpetrators leaving. So he does the only thing he can do at this point. He starts making so much noise, barking and going
Crazy.
berserko or whatever, that finally somebody from the street came in to see what was setting the dog off. And they came across all this carnage there.
Oh my
All right?
goodness.
Now, among any pictures you'll see of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, you're only going to see 6 victims up against the wall.
2, 4, 6, 7 there.
The reason being is Frank Duesenberg, he's the 7th victim. He was still alive, and he actually crawled away from the scene. So when these guys are discovered, they see 6 victims up against the wall.
Right.
They see a blood trail. They follow it. Leads them to Frank, who is still alive. They get him to a hospital. He was later questioned, but he didn't really say anything else.
Well, you're not going to squeal.
Now, 3 hours after the fact, he eventually passes away.
Oh, 3 hours?
Yeah, so he outlives his colleagues by 3 hours. But look they found 14 of those in him or through him. Yet he lived 3 hours.
Boy, is the human body amazing.
Now, see, Highball's the real hero at this point because he called attention to the scene. There was even a survivor, albeit just for a little bit.
Right.
But he was so traumatized by what he went through.
The poor doggy.
Yeah, he had doggy PTSD, I guess is what we call it today. But, medications that are available today, they weren't even around back then. And unfortunately, he was put down a couple days later. They couldn't bring him back to his normal self.
Oh, he saw his master murdered and all the other mayhem and the blood. Oh.
Yeah. But, pardon me, because I've had a couple of German Shepherds in my life, and they're the greatest dogs when it comes to defending
They are
the family.
beautiful animals.
Part of me wishes he wouldn't have been restrained that day. Now, ultimately, he would
They
have
would
been
have shot him.
a victim, but I know how they fight, and I'll bet you we'd be reading about some of the perpetrators that were missing a vital body part or something.
Yeah.
Because I know how they fight, and I know where they go.
Yeah.
Some like it hot.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good movie.
No one was ever tried or convicted for the 7 murders that occurred up against this man. However, alternative theory. Stood until 1967. And carefully painstakingly reassembled all 414 of them. He displayed the wall at crime shows, museums, galleries, and finally in the washroom of a nightclub. The Mob Museum acquired the bricks from George Bailey's men.